Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Our house in the middle of our street.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Good morning, Dorothy. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. We have a show today with, we're going to be speaking with a friend of mine, Kay Barron, who is the broker owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and the Pinehurst Realty Group, and with Melissa Hall, who is a local marketing and communication specialist and freelance writer under the umbrella Hallway Marketing. And we're going to be talking about the rebranding of Moore County, More Alive, which if anyone who spends any time on Facebook has seen the logo.
Yeah.
All the people I know are liking it. There is a current going on in Moore County about reinventing ourselves, making ourselves very vital. And before first I just want to say, Kay, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. It's been a while since we talked, and we always have a good time talking about any subject.
Kay is a natural, Dorothy.
I can tell.
About a lot of different topics, and we're going to pick her brain today. And Melissa, this is the first time you've been on the show, but we've been trying to hook up, I guess, over the last year to get you involved with your marketing efforts on behalf of Moore County.
Well, thank you very much. It's exciting to be here, and it's very timely considering the More Alive site and all that's going on with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot, before we get into the conversation, there's a lot going on in Moore County this month. We've had a couple of shows, Dorothy, in the last couple of weeks about all the events that are starting to hit in October.
Yes, it's a busy month.
Yeah,
right?
we just a couple of things. Today is the second day of the show To Kill a Mockingbird. It's not too late to get tickets.
Nope. Looks like a good one, so
do you remember seeing To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck?
Yes. It's been years.
Kayla, Atticus, the voice of reason, and Scout. I guess the entire movie was narrated by Scout as a grown woman, and her recollections of Atticus and the race issues that they had in the Deep South at a time when things were not as good as they are now.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Owens Auditorium over at Sandhills Community College. Tickets can be purchased if you go to judsontheater@gmail.com, and the show runs through tomorrow, the 5th. There's a show today, and there are 2 shows today, and there's one tomorrow afternoon. Also, tomorrow afternoon on the 5th, Ed Oswald and David Woodruff will be speaking at the Southern Pines Civic Club. David will be speaking, it's part of the Moore County Historical Association's lecture series, and David will be speaking about a great book that he wrote about his love affair with Southern Pines called Taproots. He's one of the few, David is one of the few people that actually grew up in Southern Pines and has been here his entire life.
Well, we all like to think we're natives, but
Right.
he's the true native. There are a few of them around.
Yeah.
And part of our kind of mission with this More Alive that we're talking about is making these natives feel welcome to stay here and their children to come back here too. So
That's right.
we'll talk about that later.
A lot of people who know you think you're a native, but you're not.
No.
How long have you been in Moore County?
We moved here in 1992.
Right.
Long time ago, but we're drawn to this area by golf and then drawn to it because of climate and quality of life and the beauty and so forth. So pretty much the same reasons you're here.
Right.
You know, you had a connection and you wanted to make this your home.
I came here about 8 years after you did. But you're right, I wanted to make this my home. And it's fascinating to talk to some of the people like David about his book and to learn as much as you can about the history of Moore County. Ed Oswald is also going to be part of that lecture series, and he wrote a book, I think it's called 1001 Trivia Questions and Answers about Moore County, just to educate people on some of the small-known facts about Moore County. One of the things, Kay, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Everybody who knows Moore County knows a Dunrovin country store as you're driving down Highway 1.
Highway 1.
Do you know what Dunrovin, do you know what it means? Where the word name came from? You do.
I
you,
thought
Melissa?
it was a play on words that they've done roving, meaning they've done traveling around and
You
they're
are 100%
settling
right.
down. I'm just
Absolutely.
guessing.
Oh, then I was the stupid one
you're
because I
good.
could never get it. They were done roving around,
Yeah.
and they settled down in Moore County.
Wow, I didn't even know that, and I've been here since I was like knee-high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, Ed is from Binghamton, New York, and he's only been here about 2.5 years, but he's quite a guy. Between Ed and David, they're going to have a lot to tell people about Moore County that they probably did not know. Also, today is Autumn Fest. So the town of Southern Pines takes on a whole new personality the first weekend in October. And so there is just a lot happening. And next Saturday, the Historical Association is hosting the Shaw House Fair. For those of you who don't know, the Shaw House is one of the, if not the original home standing on its original foundation at the corner of Morganton and Old US 1 across the street from Bank of America. And there'll be a fair, there'll be artisans there, there'll be people to talk to you and give you a tour of the house. Kay, you've been to the Shaw House.
I've been to the Shaw House, and I've met with the Historic Society that takes care of that. And they are very committed individuals to keep that going because, you know yourself, that's a good corner. That could have been anything.
Yeah.
So it's a treasure that it's great to have Southern Pines keep.
David Woodruff told a story in 1946. There was talk about putting a gasoline or petrol station there.
Not surprised.
And a couple of the local people fought it to preserve that piece of history. And now it's on the corner opposite Sly Fox, Pony Expresso. Melissa, you know Pony Expresso.
Oh, sure enough.
Okay. And Bank of America. And there, next to these three corners of progress, is this venture into yesteryear, which has been beautifully preserved for everybody to see. And it'll be open, I think, from 10 to 4 next Saturday. That's October 11th, the Shaw House Fair. Kay, you've been on the show a couple of times over the years, and I started doing this in August of 2009. And one of the basic premises of the show has always been that Moore County is a great place to live.
Absolutely.
And we try to, on the show, to just give the public good information, and we get a lot of passionate people who come on to talk about Moore County. It's not just about real estate, it's about neighborhood, community. It's interesting, you've been on with us when we've had real estate topic. You've been on with us when we have spoken about Habitat for Humanity.
Yep.
There are a lot of different hats that you wear. You're on the board of directors of Partners of Progress. You and Melissa are working in tandem on More Alive, and we want to talk a little bit about it today because to a lot of people, Melissa, this is a new venture. People see it on Facebook. People see things, but they don't quite know what it is they're looking at. But there's a lot of changes going on in Moore County.
Well, one of the amazing things about it is it's not just a Facebook or a website. There's an entire strategy behind it to attract talent to the area and to showcase Moore County as a wonderful place to live, work, and play.
Right. What brought you to Moore County?
Well, I've been here for 15 years. I came with a 1-year-old for my then husband's job in textiles, And things certainly have changed.
Right.
We've all seen a lot of changes in Moore County, and so many for the better. And it's just exciting to have the opportunity to work with the liaison group who designed the site and partners who are fervent and passionate about letting other people in the state and beyond know about Moore County and all that we have to offer here.
We've had challenging times economically in the last 6-7 years, Kay. There's been a shift. But Moore County shows a lot of grit. We pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, so to speak.
Well, the businesses that are here in Moore County certainly appreciate any support they can get.
Right.
And that is coupled with not only this venture that they've got with morealive.com, but Partners in Progress has, because of what you're talking about, the shift in economics and the shift in businesses. Like Melissa's coming here because of a textile job. As we know, the textile industry has had some challenges over the years. But the catalyst for this project was taken on by the Partners in Progress Economic Development for Moore County, because we wanted to grow the information base that was offered to individuals who were looking for an entree into a wonderful place to live. But they needed jobs. They needed to know about the area in terms of how it would affect their families, what housing was like, and so forth. And you know what we found out was there was no one place that actually, like Melissa said, showcased all of this.
Right.
We spoke to a couple people on our board at that time, the new superintendent of schools, and a couple other people who struggled with their search for trying to figure out where they were going to go to get adequate information that worked for them to say, yeah, I know what I need to do as far as where my housing is going to come from, what neighborhoods are good for me, where's health care in this area, just the generalization of things, recreation facilities. So, the light bulb went on, and the Partners in Progress, who never ventured into this area, got together and said, okay, we need to find a way to deliver the information to the public. And one of the key, areas that we looked at were other sites that looked good and did this job. And one of them was workinthetriangle.com. Wonderful gathering of information for the people that worked in that Raleigh and, the Triad region. And so we looked at that and said, yeah, this is good for us too.
Right.
We didn't copy it, but we certainly did look at it in terms of, does this fit with what we're doing? And I've got to give great credit to two people in particular, and that's Pat Corso, who is our executive director for economic development, who's a fireball with these type of ideas. And the other one is Caleb Miles, who is the executive director for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Caleb's got great expertise in terms of website and the focus that the internet brings to an area. His focus is tourism, golf, and, providing hospitality resources for people. But he's so adept at, finding all of this stuff out and how to present it. And so he connected us with Dr. Carol Kline, who did an extensive study of the people, the places, the job hunters, all the people that we thought were going to be delivering information to us, and she presented a study for us. So we had a platform going forward. And so this, like Melissa said, it's not random.
Right.
It's really a development from a great study that offered us the opportunity to say, here's Moore County, and we think this is what you want to see.
Right. And the emphasis about getting the word out about Moore County reflects our time, because it's all done interactively. It's not done with traditional types of print advertising. We're trying to broadcast, Melissa, to the world, are we not?
Yes, indeed. And I think we're really on the cutting edge of the trend that believes that the greatest resources of a community is its people.
Right.
And that's right from Jeff Denny, the head of the Liaison Design Group that made the website. We need to make it more than a spot on a map.
Right.
And it needs to be about community and about people, and that's what's great about the stories that are on the website, that people can identify with the community. They can see the lifestyle and say, that's a place I want to be. And that's what's really different about this entire campaign.
Is the campaign, is it emphasizing young retirees? Is it emphasizing people in the workforce? Is it cross-generational, Kay?
Well, we've got, through this study, we had 4 focuses that we looked at. Traditional retirees.
Right.
They're, the folks that you and I both work for on a day-to-day basis in the real estate community,
Right.
coming in, going out.
Right.
The next one is returnees. Those are young people who lived in this area.
Right.
We want them to raise their families here. We don't
Right.
want them to leave because they have to, because they think they have to. So we're trying to provide resources and support for that. Relocatees, we're talking about military families, families who would just consider this place as a wonderful opportunity for them to live in an area that has a great lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the what we call outsiders, which doesn't exactly, that's not probably the word I would choose, but this is directing traffic to Moore County for people who have, let's call it an entrepreneurial spirit, and they would like to come into this area, build a business, buy a business, and create more for their families,
Right.
and expand on what they want to do as far as
Right.
living, recreation, everything else.
We've had a lot of entrepreneurs on the show over the years, and one of the great things about Moore County, we always say, is 2 years here is a lifetime if you want to set up shop. It's not an urban area where there's a lot of anonymity, and if you do the right things and you get network with the right people, you can become somebody within a 2-year period, a 24-month period.
And what's interesting about Dr. Kline's research is that was one of her specific findings, is that Moore County is extraordinarily well
Right.
situated for
Right.
entrepreneurs.
Huh.
That's exactly what she found out.
One of the most common denominators to the success of any community is the school system. We want to talk about that. We're going to come back in the second set. We have a lot of ground to cover. Speaking with Melissa Hall from Hallway Marketing and her involvement with the More Alive movement and the website and the branding. And for our friend Kay Barron, the broker-owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crown.
Welcome back to All Things Moore County. Fascinating conversation about Moore County with Kay Barron and Melissa Hall. It sounds, Melissa, in talking about More Alive and in talking about broadcasting Moore County to the world, that you are Partners in Progress and More Alive. You're almost creating a one-stop shopping area of information, a portal of information that people can access no matter where they are in the country.
Yeah,
About Moore
absolutely.
County.
Because that's what's wonderful about doing the promotion for me, because it is absolutely a gift to the local businesses. It is a resource. They can link the site to their site with a very attractive graphic. People can click on that and learn everything they want to know about Moore County, but also get a feeling for the lifestyle and see that it's not just a place on a map. It's a real community.
So if somebody in Montana is shopping for a home and they go to the Berkshire Hathaway website, they're going to look at homes for sale. They're going to look at information about Moore County, but there will be links, Kay, on your site?
I have that graphic
Can you
on
talk
my
a little
site.
bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, Melissa and her team developed this graphic, and it's a hot button.
Okay.
It's on my front page. It's bhhsprg.com. That's our website.
Okay.
And we use it as the connection to whatever information these folks want about the community. They never... You've got to have some depth in this information.
Right.
And from being in real estate, you can put a lot of things on your website, but you can also be bogged down with where to find it, how to get it,
Right.
what's the, is it accurate, and all of that's taken from you. Now, in addition to that, people can look on there, on that particular site, search for homes.
Mm-hmm.
They can search for jobs.
Right.
We have the opportunity, so local businesses need to know this. They can call Partners in Progress and post jobs on that. I mean, how powerful is that?
Right.
We've worked with people for many years with it. The one spouse is working, but the other spouse needs to connect with some type of employment. Well, this is one of the ways they can do that. So people who are in neighboring counties can look at this as a job search site as well. And all of these references that I'm talking to you about are building as we speak. It's a dynamic site. It's flexible. We have people working on this site daily so that they can add to it, subtract, alter things. So it's a living, breathing website as opposed to, how some of them go, you post it up and, okay, you're done. You can't see or take the time to do anything anymore. So I just wanted to encourage people to look at it not only once, but continue to look at it because there will be new things on this. Right, Melissa?
And that's an important part of the campaign is the search engine optimization. It's always updated. It's always fresh. So if your business happens to be linked or your story happens to be told, it's going to be spread out throughout the Internet in a very complex and dynamic fashion.
Right.
And what is the cost to a business to do that?
There's no cost at all. It is truly a gift from Partners in Progress. They raise the money from the community, from the municipalities, from some of the businesses, from the Realtors Association and the Home Builders Association.
So this is free.
This is free. Yes,
Absolutely.
Why would a viable business not do it?
That's what makes it so fun. I call people
Oh, my
and get
goodness.
to tell them
Exactly.
that they have this great resource that they can use.
Yeah,
Save them
like I
thousands
said,
of dollars.
you and I have websites. You're struggling to keep those going
Current.
with the information. Well, it's all done for you now. That's what I said about the switch, the change in gears with Partners in Progress. Economic development in any area, they focus on what you can bring to the area to grow businesses. This is a whole different way of thinking about this. This is reaching out in the cyber world to say, okay, here we are, and you may be in Kansas City,
Right.
and say, I'm interested in maybe opening up a different organization, a different business. I may be interested in moving my business.
Right.
We recently talked at length to a group of people who are considering Moore County for their business, and all of these things were of value to them. They were at our fingertips. So you can use them as much or as little as you want, but they're there at no cost to expand what you do in your business on an everyday basis.
And not
Melissa?
to forget the potential employees. You want to offer a job to someone. You do offer a job to someone. They come and they look and they see what Moore County is all about. Whether that's a teacher considering moving here, whether it's someone to work for the hospital, they can look and learn everything they need to know. And it's very compelling.
Back in the late 90s, right around 2000, 2001, with the advent of websites, and I'm referencing real estate company websites, we used to be masters at cutting and pasting as much information as we could get, right? So we could be presenting to the world. In those days, a website was a great equalizer because somebody from another state, they didn't know how large your company was or how small, but it was all visual. Today, everybody can offer the same information and make it a lot simpler, right, just to get to the crux of everything. I think.
The folks that are involved in this website
Yeah.
Are truly professionals. Melissa mentioned the liaison that we have, and
Right.
we've met with them several times. And when we do meet with them, the core group of people who are communicating with them about the site, they are all ears. You know, if we have something that needs to be put on the site, something that needs to be tweaked on the site, they're on it. And so I say that to you and other business folks in the community. If there is something that we skipped a step on,
Right.
let us know, because we want to put that on there. And like I said, the catalyst for all of it was people that came into the area and couldn't find a singular resource.
Right.
You know, they were struggling. They were going all over the place
Right.
looking for something.
Right.
Well, we are fortunate that we do have a number of resources between the Chamber of Commerce and More Forward and Sandhills Community College, and we are one of many, many great organizations putting information out there. But the thing is about this is that a liaison design group has extensive experience in economic development. They have worked with countless communities creating branding about economic development for different towns and cities.
One only has to look at the board members, Partners in Progress, Kay, of which you're a member. It's a great representation across the board of business leaders from all different types of industry, different types of community outreach in Moore County. So it's really become a think tank, I would think.
Absolutely. It's a collaborative group of people who on a monthly basis get together
Right.
and talk about all of the things we're talking about here. We talk about things, interestingly enough, talking about agriculture in the community. We're talking about big business, energy, development. We talk about the impact of the schools. We talk about the impact of healthcare. We talk about all of these things as it relates to
Right.
our businesses and potential prospects for businesses in this area.
Right. And we know that jobs are the number one determinant of the housing demand. We sell homes. People move where there are jobs. So you're trying to foster as fertile an area for people to move into and start their businesses here. And you, Melissa, you mentioned there's so many good things about Moore County. One of the things I didn't realize was the high ranking of the Pinecrest High School. The school system is such an important
The school
part of it.
system is very important when people decide to
Right.
move here, and Pinecrest High School was rated in the top 20 of a U.S. News and World Report this
Right.
year, which is really a stunning statistic.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about all the time, and Kay, you're involved in this in a lot of ways too. In Moore County, Moore County provides its citizens a lot of nets from the time that their children are in preschool through high school, through the Literacy Council, through the mentoring programs, communities and schools. Habitat is very vibrant here. It's such a giving community. And Ed Aswad, who was on a few weeks ago, he said something that we all say, that Moore County reminds people who move here from out of the county of the towns that they grew up in as kids. Sort of like it's got that magic of yesteryear.
It sounds like you read Dr. Kline's report.
I did
I was
not.
going to say that too.
When they did the exercise, it's kind of like interviewing feet on the street. They went out and then they compiled a list of things that people most likely said about the community. One of them was the richness in the volunteer corps here,
Right.
and the fact that people were extremely giving of
Right.
their time and their support.
Amazingly so.
Yeah, and the capacity for people to throw themselves into the community
Right.
was another one. So
Oh, yeah.
it was, both the volunteerism and them just getting involved, whether it's, in a exercise or a group like Habitat, or whether it's one that they're just involved with.
Right.
It's amazing. And you're absolutely right. The other part that you mentioned was it was like the towns they grew
Oh,
up
yeah.
in. It's a flashback.
Right.
You drive up and down these streets and you look at it and you go, okay, it's like the 50s or something like that.
That's right. Back to the future.
Yeah, it's got that appeal to people, that quiet, comforting appeal that people like to look at, they like to be a part of, they like to visit it, and of course in the future we hope they like to live in it as
And
well.
stay in it.
Right.
You bring up something that came up on a couple of shows with some of the members of the Moore County Historical Association, and it's the conversation about growth versus preservation and retaining the magic, and yet also being able to make Moore County move forward and be vibrant so it attracts new people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a balance that has to be struck. Let's come back in the third set and talk a little bit about that. We're speaking all about More Alive, partnership and progress, and the very bright future for Moore County.
Our house in the middle of our house, it has a crown. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud.
Welcome back to our final set with Kay Barron and Melissa Hall, talking about More Alive and the great work that's being done in Moore County for businesses. I got the impression when you guys were speaking in the last set about one of the great things about this area are the personal touches and the personal contact people have. It's almost an incestuous community in a good way, where people are, there's no anonymity. You can get to know people very quickly. You can market very effectively in a short period of time. And it's one of the great things about this yesteryear type community. It's very easy to become part of the process and not feel like an outsider.
Well, one of the things that we talk about, and Melissa can explain this better than I can, is the micropolitan classification of
Okay.
our area. Melissa, why don't you tell people about that?
Well, it's a term that's come into usage recently to describe areas that have a small town feel but big city amenities. It may be the culture, it may be restaurants, it may be the education. So let's not forget that though we are a largely agricultural county and we're rural and we have all the wonderful elements of that fabric that you describe in our community,
Yeah.
we also have some delightful elements that you'd find in a larger city.
Right.
And that's one of the other things that makes Moore County so remarkably unique.
The number of businesses since 1995, 1997, 1998 that were here then and are here now, it's amazing. The choices that people have, the restaurants, the shops, it's very, very vibrant. And all the historical areas have been beautifully preserved. They're still there, and yet you've got great areas of growth for expanded shopping, retail. Kay, you remember when there were 8 restaurants in Moore County?
Absolutely.
Right?
Matter of fact, those of you who are out there and remember going to Sledden's,
Right.
it was like
I remember
it was
Sledden's.
the restaurant
Of
choice, and
That's
it
right.
was like one of the few. I don't know how they ever did it. I think we burnt them out, and they finally said, "I've had enough. I'm not doing this anymore." But it was like the only game in town for a long time, and we've got. I have a friend who owns the Ironwood Cafe, and he gets people all the time asking him to come in, sous chefs and things like that, because they hear about our wonderful restaurants now.
Right.
And so we've got we've got an entree, let's call it that, if I can throw that word out for people in the food industry that we didn't have before.
Right.
We have so many wonderful locally owned restaurants.
And people support them. They do support them. I mean, all it takes is just driving by some of these on even a weekday and seeing what they're offering, and how many people are taking advantage of it. So I think every birthday party my husband and I have had over the last several years have been in one of these restaurants. So I can speak from experience, great places to visit with family and friends.
I hadn't thought of Sledden's in so long.
Wasn't it a great place?
That was where you went for on a date. If you went out just to eat somewhere, you went somewhere else. But Sledden's was the only place that you could go. Yeah,
I think they only had 8 things on the menu, and you had to order the duck or you didn't get it. It was good, though.
Amazing. But there's so many differences compared to 10 years ago. And the progress that's being made is great, and yet there is still so much charm, and there's a real preservation movement on at the same time. So we have to strike a balance, I guess, between the two factions.
I think that's absolutely true. We definitely want to attract the talent to the area.
Right.
We want to use this website to get the type of people who appreciate the balance, who appreciate the history, and appreciate the growth.
If this service is free, tell me about the funding. How are the monies raised to provide such a great service for a business if there's no cost?
Well,
I was
involved. To Pat Corso again.
Yeah, I was involved in that with Pat early on, and we looked at the group of people we thought would obviously benefit from it,
right,
and be supportive of it. And we were involved in getting the Realtor Association to fund part of it, which we're extremely grateful for,
right,
as well as the Home Builders Association. Those two groups were extremely valuable to kick it off, and they came on board full force. Secondly, we used the public funds with the county, and went to the municipalities and asked them to fund it too, because we felt it was important that they be involved, and they sanction something like this because obviously they want to be aware of what's going on in terms of delivering information to folks that want to come into the area. So
right.
It was a combination, and some people ask us about the timing of this. We got together strongly and got it underway really more than a year before the U.S. Open, and I'll just throw this out because people have asked about this. The U.S. Open wasn't the goal that we get it all together for that, but we also wanted to have a deadline that we actually produced this. So we did use that deadline before the U.S. Open to get it. And so we worked hard from fall of last year
right.
till like the first quarter of 2014.
Right.
We were on a mission.
Right.
Get the information together, get the site up, get things moving, get the funding all in place so that we could provide this as a valuable option for people who are going to visit the area as well.
Melissa.
And I just want to build on that to make the point that it is for all of Moore County,
right.
and it has been supported by all of Moore County.
Right.
Even though we did have great benefit from the U.S. Opens, that's in the southern part of the county, the purpose really is for all businesses.
Exactly. And that's one of the messages that we want to get across, that there's so many factors to promote in Moore County,
mm-hmm.
and that's why I mentioned, the rural, the agricultural, all of those things. If I might, I'd just like to give you a couple of points that are kind of the results of the surveys that we did and where we were focusing for the site itself. And we're getting back to jobs. We do have entry level and job opportunities. We've got plenty of activities for young adults. People don't think about that, but we actually do. We have things for teens and preteens to do. We have a local food system, and many of you have seen the Farm to Table enterprise that has been brought to Southern Pines, to Pinehurst. People embrace that, and they love it. We still continue the emphasis on the climate, the horses, the golf. You know, those are parts, extremely important parts of our community that we need to project and explain to people. And one of the big things is we are not Raleigh, we're not Durham, we're not Chapel Hill. We're not trying to be those places.
Right.
We're trying to be not everything to everyone, but we're trying to be our own selves.
Right.
And then this is something that is kind of interesting. This came from Dr. Kline's report and her survey. We ooze intellectual capacity. There's people from all walks of life are here,
right.
Whether they were CEOs of a large company, whether they were engineers, whatever, whether they were educators, whether they were in the healthcare industry. We've got some excellent minds that have seated themselves in Moore County. So those are just some of the things, and you talked about the strong volunteer base that we've got. We support entrepreneurs, new businesses, and then the that micropolitan aspect, still looking and feeling like these small towns that we all came from at some point, but with all the big city amenities, like Melissa said. You know, we've got live theater, we've got concerts, we've got a lot of cultural activities that you just don't think about.
Yeah. If you took the movie It's a Wonderful Life, if you took the Michael J. Fox movie Doc Hollywood, where they had the Squash Blossom Festival in the deep southern town, and this weekend To Kill a Mockingbird, all three of those mediums capture an innocence, and they capture a time that people yearn for, I think. And as some of the population is getting older, they're looking for a place to relocate. And the spirit of entrepreneurship in Moore County is so alive. People want you, Melissa. You mentioned it in the beginning, in the first set. You mentioned new beginnings. So new beginnings are great. Starting over is great. There are challenges, but there are a lot of rewards, and this is a great place to settle down and do that. Your bullet points are well taken. I mean, this is a very rich community,
right? And that richness is not. It's not an accident.
Right.
You know, I guess we could call it an accident by all the people that were coming here, like you and I and Melissa. Yeah. We came from some other place. Yeah. But I guess the accident turns into a wonderful plan at the end, and I guess that's what we're trying to exhibit to people, that they can be part of this. Right. I had a nephew that got married here a couple years ago, and he said, he lives in Washington, D.C. now, and he said, I'd move here in a heartbeat.
Right.
You know, it was like, you know, it's a great place to live.
No urban sprawl here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no stress. You know what I find so funny? People who live here, they complain about the traffic.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Oh, please.
When they get here, they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe how easy this is to get around. Then they live here for a while and they get spoiled. So on a Friday afternoon, they have to wait at one traffic light and they start complaining. It's amazing. People who moved here 5 years ago versus people who moved here 15 years ago. The people who moved here 15 years ago say, oh, there's so much change, there's so much, traffic. People who moved here 5 years ago said, this is great. Every 5 or 10 years, we have a different perspective from people who are coming here. People can't wait to get here.
Yeah. You know, the catchphrase we use on the More button and in the front is stress less, live more.
Yes.
So it really speaks to what you're talking about.
The the Four Seasons in Moore County. It's just, we always say to people, it's just a great place to wake up in the morning, and it's a great place to raise a family. And you mentioned something, Kay, about getting the people to come back. And today, the kids who grew up here in the 90s who didn't want to stay, they're back and they're raising their kids here now in Moore County, and their kids are all in the schools, and this is where they want their family to have those memories.
All right. We've got some great stories. Melissa talked about that before. One of the things that we thought would be a compelling piece to put on this were stories about people who moved here. They decided to bring their businesses here, and one of them is Lauren Craig, who is the mayor of David McNeil, the mayor of Southern Pines. It's his daughter, and she moved back here. So we've got some strong and powerful messages from those folks, and those little vignettes, we're adding to them on a regular basis. We'd like to add even more so that people, the personal stories are the best. And we've got some great in-depth reviews of families who made Moore County their own.
And not just the families, the businesses.
Yeah,
the businesses that
exactly.
moved here, businesses that started here, and their successes.
And the businesses, I want to just mention this briefly since we're talking about the rebranding of Moore County. Kay, you are also in the process of rebranding your business,
right,
your real estate business in Moore County, and there's a story there.
Well, our history in real estate in Moore County, it goes way back. We had two founders I think it was in the 50s, Lula Gauger and Wally O'Neill. They ran successfully a small independent real estate shop, I'll call it that, in Pinehurst. And in 1971, Bill Saunders joined with them, partnered with them, and actually bought the business. So he ran it with Lula for a couple years, and then Bill built it over the years for the old timers in town. We used to call it GOS, Gauger, O'Neill, and Saunders. And then in 1995, we affiliated as a franchisee with Prudential Real Estate. That took us all the way to 2014, and then Prudential Real Estate started on their major campaign to rebrand with the now, the infamous Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. So now we've always been, attached to long names. So we went from Prudential, Gauger, O'Neill, and Saunders to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Pinehurst Realty Group. So
it's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, but we're the same people.
Yeah.
We have a different look, a different color in our signage and things like that, but we're still here serving Moore County.
Right.
And it's kind of fun to connect on that basis, and people are asking me all the time if I've heard from Warren yet, and to answer
Has he
that,
called?
Yeah, he hasn't called me yet. He doesn't call, he doesn't write. I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, I'm not the only business in town that's done that. A lot of people have made these changes over the years,
right,
but we're still all part of this core group that serves Moore County from north to south, east to west.
Well, I admire your business acumen, and I can tell you that the transition that you've made has been very smooth.
It's been wonderful.
As a layman, I can see it. But you had reasons for transitionalizing to continue to accommodate what you want to do. I mean,
exactly.
You didn't just do it to do it.
No, and you're absolutely right. We were looking at the benefits of becoming this new part of this franchise called Berkshire Hathaway, and everything has a shelf life.
Right.
Everything has a time to change, and that's where we were coming from. When they told us that this was going to be happening to Prudential Real Estate as a whole,
right,
I said, okay, how soon can we do it? And so we were doing all of this changing along the same time that we were rolling out morealive.com,
right,
and trying to make sure that it was as seamless as possible.
Right.
It didn't affect the individuals that we were working with at the time,
right,
but the benefits that we were looking for were the increased capacity for the technological changes,
Right.
for the growth and determination of this group, because it's huge, and for the a different branding approach,
Yeah.
just like we're trying to do in Moore County.
Yeah.
Same people, but a
Right.
different and more vibrant brand.
The real estate, Melissa, the real estate community gets to be stewards of all the growth that Moore County is going to be experiencing. We get to be the first step when people come into the town, and it's a privilege for us and for you to work with them. Tell us a little bit about where people can go right now if they want to get more information about More Alive and how it can help their business.
Okay, if they want to call me directly,
Yep.
Melissa Hall, and my number is 910-639-3747.
Right.
I can email you the graphic. You can look at morealive.com to get a feeling for what it's like.
Right.
And it's a very simple link to get that posted onto your website.
I think it's terrific. And Partners in Progress.
Yes.
Information, because I think people have heard of them, but maybe in a tangential way. You have your own website as well?
We do. Gosh, I can't
It's
think of
okay.
what it is right now, but let me just mention something to you about that. If you go on to morealive.com, you can connect directly with
Right.
the Partners in Progress. But I also wanted to mention, like Melissa said, to put that link on your website. But if they want to get a leg up on what this is, they go onto that website and hit the Contact Us area. There is a media kit that they can download. It's about 16 pages. It is a synopsis of the study that was done by Dr. Kline for us.
Right.
And if they ever wanted anything to kind of pull the whole circle around what we're talking about today so that they can apply it to their businesses, they can pull this media kit.
And they can enter their contact information and sign up for the newsletter.
Exactly. So you've got a variety of interactive ways that they can benefit from this, and once again, it's all free, it's all done for them, and we're proud to deliver it to them.
Great information. The future for Moore County looks very bright. There are a lot of great things happening. Melissa Hall, thank you for coming and joining us.
Thank you very much. This has been fun.
And we need to talk. And Kay, we always need to talk. Kay
Thank
Barron, always a pleasure to see you and the work you're doing with Partners in Progress. And Moore County is grateful to have you.
Thank you. And I can tell you it's morebusiness.org.
There you go.
More business for Partners in Progress. Yeah.
Morebusiness.org.
Morebusiness.org.
This is All Things Moore County, everybody. Enjoy the weekend festivities and have a great week. Thank you.
Our house